Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the primary weapon systems rifle. Now, a lot of you guys have asked me about this rifle, and I was just able to get one in. I've reviewed these rifles in the past for Small Arms Review, and I have to say it was a very interesting rifle, very unique rifle. You know, we have a lot of external piston-driven rifles right now. You know, WRCI, AdCorp, SIG. But all those have generally one thing in common. They're mostly short-stroke tappet. Minus the AdCorp Bear. They're all short-stroke tappet. The primary weapon systems is definitely the forerunner of having a long stroke operating system instead of the short-stroke tappet. It's a way that they've been able to find their niche. That's primarily what they make. They manufacture it in the 5.56, the 300 blackout. They also manufacture a 308 version. So they've certainly carved themselves a niche to separate themselves with going with the long stroke. They've also been very well known for a lot of their components. As we're going to see when we go through this rifle, there's a lot of very well-made and well-engineered components that are used that you can buy for your own rifle to upgrade to improve your system. You know, notably the receiver extension, which we're going to show you. And if you notice the muzzle brake on here, this is very common. In fact, you'll see these on all the SCAR 16, SCAR 17 rifles. So they definitely have a lot of OEM contracts as well. They've also always had an adjustable gas valve, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, that made this rifle very suitable to use sound suppressors. Yeah, they do come in various barrel lengths as well. You'll see 14.5, you'll see SBRs. What you see here is going to be the 16-inch barrel, which, again, is most common because it doesn't require a tax stamp. My impressions have not changed with this rifle. In fact, they've certainly even gotten better. The original ones that I had the standard lower receiver that was non-ambidextrous, utilized the standard upper receiver as well. The new model we have here, which is the Mk116 Mod2. The big thing about the Mod2 is lightweight. It's stripping down all unnecessary weight and trying to make the most compact, long stroke probably rifle in the industry. It's extremely light. You're only looking at about 6 pounds 7 ounces. It's for long stroke tap. That's pretty good weight. It's very lightweight to have that kind of an operating system. It does utilize a mid-length operating system, which you guys have heard me talk about on this channel many times. How I feel the intermediate gas system or the mid-length gas system is much more reliable than the standard carbine length, increasing dwell time, which makes extraction easier. So I absolutely feel that is a major benefit, regardless of whether it's a direct gas or an external piston. Now, the barrel on here is not a hammer forged barrel, which many companies have become famous for. They go with a 416 stainless steel barrel. It is an excellent quality barrel, very accurate, 1 1/8 inch. This happens to be a 223 Wilde barrel. They also manufacture a 5.56, so you can go with either types of chamber. Now, the differences between the two of them, supposedly the 223 Wilde is supposed to give you a better result with both cartridges, rather than have, for instance, a 223 fired at a 5.56 is not going to be as accurate because of the bullet lead and so forth. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit the 223 Wilde, I've yet to see anything that makes it better or more accurate than a standard 5.56 chamber. So, it's not something that I'm going to say I would buy. For me, if I was to buy this rifle, I probably would go with a regular 5.56 chamber rather than the 223 Wilde. The 1 1/8 is an excellent twist. It is suffice to stabilize a 77 grain projectile. So pretty much anything you're going to have to fire is going to be in this rifle. You're going to be able to fire any bullet weight in the industry. So you certainly have that compatibility. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to go over some of the advanced features on here, but we also have a treat. Now, it's one thing to tell you guys how things work. It's something else to be able to show you. Primary Weapon System was kind enough to loan me a Cutaway. I tend to really like cutaways to show how these things work, as opposed to other types of weapons as well. I was funny because when I asked them for this, I was the first person to ever ask them to borrow the Cutaway. So I think they're very anxious for me to return this because these are very rare. And the other thing is, too, these are really expensive. If you can imagine how much time that it takes a machinist to go out there and cut all these sections out so you're able to see, it's pretty incredible. So this little thing here is worth a lot of money. So I'm going to get this back to the guys as soon as possible. But I'm very thankful for them loaning this to me. I really like being able to use these to show how things work. First and foremost, we have the piston expansion chamber. We can see the gas port comes up. Gas goes into this expansion chamber. As it drives the bolt rearward, you can see is the bolt moves rearward, you can see now the unlocking process. So you can see it unlocks, clears the locking lugs, and now comes to the rear. As it comes to the rear, as you can see, the piston chamber expanding, unneeded gas is being released. The bolt is coming to extract. Then when it gets back to this point here, it ejects the fire cartridge case. Then the recoil spring pushes it forward. That would pick up, that would feed, chamber, then it would lock. Also, you'll notice on here you have a spring. That spring is to assist in unlocking. You can see the cam, as it unlocks, you can see how the cam moves to unlock. And you can see as the cam pin moves, you can see how that bolt here unlocks. So when we take a look at the piston itself, the operating rod, now as you can see that piston itself comes right off. So this is a two-piece system. You have an operating rod and you have a piston. It's attached to the top of the carrier by 2 set screws. Well, as you can see, now there's nothing else up front here. You do have a gas valve, which as you rotate that, it alters how much powder is allowed to go into the gas system. Now you have the one circle, which is normal. 2 circles is adverse conditions, lightweight ammunition. And the third one is for suppressed use. So you can see that there's also a proprietary finish on the bolt. The bolt is not the same as the standard AR-15 M16, as you can see. It's a little bit different. And you can also see in the back here the skis, which you see on several of them, which allows the carrier to stay in line with the receiver extension so you don't get any carrier tilt issues. The upper receiver, as you can see, is extremely well made. This happens to be the same as we have here. This is the Mk116 Mod 2, the lightweight receiver. 7075 T6 aircraft aluminum. This is manufactured from a forging as well. Forgings are a little bit stronger due to their molecular structure than the billets are. So it's generally a little bit more expensive when you go with the forging. It doesn't give you as much freedom to change out the, if you want to call it, the cosmetics of the receiver. Generally, this is the shape you stay with. But overall, it's certainly a better option. This particular one is key mod. You have 1913 rail on the top, and you have a key mod there. The charging handle is the Voltar VCM Gunfighter. Another one of my favorite charging handles. It's much larger to perch on. But this shows exactly how it works. And unlike the short stroke, where these two pieces would be separate from the carrier. So what would happen on a short stroke is you would have a spring up here normally. The gas would strike the face, drive it back. The operating rod would smack into the top of the carrier, driving the carrier rearward. But as the carrier would move rearward on a short stroke tap, the operating rod would move forward. So it's two different positions instead of one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go take a look at the rifle. But this is an excellent way to show you how it works. Far better than me just trying to explain it, being able to see it. Definitely want to say thank you to the guys over at Primary Weapon Systems for letting us borrow this to take a look at. Starting from their stock, we have this is a BCM stock. It's their grip stock. Now it's definitely a little on the tight side. Now the receiver extension is something that we're definitely going to be talking about, but we're going to come back to that because we're going to disassemble this so you can see what we're going to be talking about inside of there. As you can see, there is no forward assist on here, which you guys have watched me for a long time. You know this is a subject I feel very strongly about. I'm not a fan of the forward assist. But it was taken off of here for weight. You can see like a lot of the machining out of here where they've removed unnecessary material. You have the ejection port cover, and you also have a fire cartridge case deflector. Now, the handguard is what we really want to talk about because it's really neat. They call this a pick mod. From the rear here to the front here, we have a regular normal key mod. But from the front here, we have what they call pick mod. This is a 1913 rail combination, 1913 rail as well as key mod. You can see in here the key mod, but if you also look here, you'll see the dovetails. So if you wanted to mount a flashlight or any kind of a laser or a bipod to this, you'd be able to mount it right to the Picatinny rail. And we're also going to say they use the term Picatinny rail. I do not. I do not like the term Picatinny rail. That is not what this thing is. It's a mill standard 1913 rail. So if you don't mind, instead of me calling it the pick mod, I'm going to call it the 1913 mod rail. So this is also 7075 T6 aircraft aluminum. Again, we have the long free-floating handguard with the pick mod on the front, a combination of 1913 rail and key mod. And in the back, we have strictly key mod. You have a couple rail protectors on here as well. There is a gas system, as we talked about before. It's adjustable right from the top here. And you have 1 circle, 2 circles, and 3 circles. And those are all for the different settings. We also have a Bravo Company pistol grip on here as well. We have a match 5.5 pound trigger. We're going to take a look at the inside, see that a little bit better. But also, this is their first completely ambidextrous lower receiver. So as you see, we have an ambidextrous safety. We have an ambidextrous magazine release. And we have an ambidextrous bolt release also. Now, on the right-hand side, this is not a bolt catch. This is strictly a bolt release. You cannot engage the bolt catch from the right-hand side, but you engage it from the left-hand side, but this is used as a release by pushing it in. So, fully ambidextrous. Magazine well. You have a very flared magazine well that makes inserting magazines in low-level to no-level light conditions easier, much easier. Again, you get a rather unique contour to it as well. So now we're going to take a look at the inside, because the inside there's a couple really interesting things to take a look at. First off, as we spoke about the receiver extension being very unique. If you notice, this is not staked. This is a ratchet system that allows this thing to be put on just as secure as staking, but still enables you to be able to take it off with ease. So it won't come off. It's a ratchet system. The most important thing that I want to show you is in here. Now, as we talk about with external piston guns in the M16 type system, when the operating rod strikes the top of the carrier, the carrier tilts back and it scrapes the inside of the receiver. It's called carrier tilt. This is probably the best thought out way to cure this issue. If you notice, the receiver extension, it comes forward in front of the buffer retainer pin. What that means, when the receiver is closed, the rear of the bolt carrier is already sitting in the receiver extension. It's not. There's no jump from the upper receiver into the lower receiver. As soon as this upper receiver is closed, the carrier is sitting right on there, so it's going directly back. It doesn't have the ability to tilt. So that's one of the really, really cool parts about this. You know, in my opinion, anybody who has an external piston gun, this should be a must. That's how much I think of this as being a solution to the most common problem that you face with an external piston AR type rifle. Also, the match grade trigger. If you notice that the match trigger mechanism you have in here, you will see there's adjustments, so you can adjust it how much creep that you want. This one right here has very, very little creep. In fact, I had to adjust it. First time I shot it, I got a couple doubles, and that was because this was set so close that occasionally it would slip off. I had to adjust a little bit forward so it got a better grab on it. But the trigger on here is absolutely gorgeous. Now the Cutaway that you saw, this was a carbine gas system. This one here is longer. This is a rifle length. And you can tell that by the length. Now we're utilizing the same bolt carrier group, but we're utilizing a longer operating rod and a longer piston to make up the difference of that. So that just is held on by rotating it. You get it off of the notch, then that comes right loose for disassembly and cleaning. Now, most of the stuff that you see on here, you are able to get as an upgrade. You know, these are very, very well made rifles. For as far as quality, I mean, they're spectacular. Never had any, not really anything I can say bad about this thing. It's just really well made. And there is that sector of you guys out there who do insist on external piston. You, for whatever reason, you feel it's a better way to go. So this is definitely another one of the options. Now, is this better than a short stroke? You know what? Both systems work. Both systems have worked for many, many years. I'm going to say it's another way to accomplish the same thing. Just as reliable, I think, either way. I think it's just a matter of your choice. The spring that you saw in here makes it so it's easy to install. As we saw, that was spring loaded. That makes it easy to install. We're going to insert this back on. The optic I chose on this one was a Elcan. This is a really interesting one because it's a fixed power. You have no power, 3 power, and 9 power. So you have 3 different adjustments you can put on here. When you put it on 1 power, it lights up. You can use it as pretty much as a red dot. But then as the power increases, it gives you that longer range capability. It's a very nice scope. It takes some getting used to. I think the thing that really took me some time to get used to was the apertures in here, the reticles. It appears to be like a bluish color, and sometimes my eyes had a little bit harder of a time catching it. So it took a little bit of time to get used to it. But this is an extremely expensive and well made. I mean, the optics on here are as clear as can be. That's what you generally expect from Elcan. They do one hell of a job. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to the range and we're going to see how it shoots. We did not have one malfunction with this rifle. This thing worked beautifully. We used 3 different kinds of ammunition in this rifle. We utilized the Black Hills 55 grain full metal jacket, the 77 grain Mark II 6.2 Mod 1, and the 77 grain SIG ammunition. My best group was obtained with the Black Hills, and they were just about 1 1/4 inches. I didn't really achieve anything sub-MOA, which, this is an assault rifle. It's not a sharpshooter rifle. But, everything I shot was well under 2 MOA. So the accuracy was extremely acceptable. Not to mention the particular day that we were out there was quite a bit of sand out at the range. So I had a chance to go through a little bit of a sand test with it, too, because it had sand all over the thing. And she worked beautiful. But all in all, this is an excellent option for those of you who do want to go with external piston. If you have any questions on this, please leave me a comment. I'll try to get back to you. If you enjoyed this, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.